Today, we are going to make some grass. No, I'm not in Colorado, so it's not going to be that kind of grass. It's our techniques that are so simple and sensible, your models will practically build themselves. Hello folks, it's Mad Dog Merv. Today, well, we've got another World of Tanks installment. One of the builds I did for my World of Tanks. You're welcome. I'm sorry, that joke never gets old with me. Anyway, I digress. On the battlefield, there's a lot of these premium tanks that you have to actually pay for. I'm cheap. No, I'm not going to buy tanks, sorry. There's plenty of tanks to play with for free, and they're pretty awesome. But there's a few of these premium tanks. They cost you some money to actually buy and go out and play with, but are actually pretty darn cool. The Freedom tank was one of them that I talked about in an earlier episode. But there's one of the German tanks that I thought was really cool is this Panzer IV S. And S stands for small term. Small, it's a small term after all. Yes. Anyway, it's a Panzer IV with a narrow turret, and it was kind of a concept vehicle. And we'll just touch briefly on this other one called the Panzer V IV, which is basically a Panther with a Mark IV turret. So anyway, let's dive into this. Let's take a look at the builds I've got of the PZ4 or Panzer IV small term.
So here's what we're going to model. This is from the World of Tanks game, and this is one of the, I guess it's a premium tank. It pops up from time to time. You can buy it. I haven't, because I'm cheap. I'm not gonna buy it, but it's kind of cool. It's a Mark IV with what's called a small term, and they actually tried this concept out. Anyway, it's got the small term on the Mark IV chassis, and the thing scoots. So here is the only small term in existence. It was a mock-up that they did, a full-scale mock-up that they did, and obviously it's been damaged by the Allies when we captured it. But give you some idea of what the small term really looked like. It was just kind of a small, narrow turret that they were going to put a 75 gun in. So a couple of years ago, a friend of mine, Alan Kinney, and here's Alan in 2018 when I ran into him at the Phoenix IPMS Nationals. Alan was a master modeler locally, and he was a speed builder. What he would do is he would get two kits. He would build for a local hobby store just so that they would have an unpainted built version on the shelf. And he would also get a second kit from them and build it really quick and have it for himself. Anyway, a couple of years ago when he was moving to Arizona, he was selling his collection at one of the local shows for, it's like $5 a piece. So I bought a whole bunch of these things. And in this group here is a Mark IV tank. Now, I've had a few other Mark IVs and I really didn't need another Mark IV. I mean, yeah, it would have been nice. But with the World of Tanks game out and some of the things that you can do with the different tanks, I thought, here it is. Here's that Mark IV that I got already built by Alan. And very nice job, later model Mark IV. And I thought, this would be fun to make that one with the small term. Now, there were a bunch of Panther IIs, Panther Fs in this collection that I bought from him, as well as I already had some in boxes, and so I grabbed one of my, I think it was a Panther F small term that I had available, still on the sprues, cut it off, put the 75 millimeter on it, and well, I wasn't really happy with that particular gun on there. It was actually based off of a concept. In November of '44, the Krupp Company presented several variants for upgrading and uparming the Mark IVs. Anyway, the gun that in the game is a 75 millimeter, 44-1 L70 gun. And you can see here I've got a muzzle brake, That's what I wanted to put on there. I wanted a muzzle brake on the end of this nice long gun. So that's what we're going to do. So I built the Schmalterm, and you saw that the chassis was already primed. So I took, this is a color I use quite often. It's Rust-Oleum's 2X primer, and it's just kind of a primer red. And I think it makes a very nice Panzer brown, or a primer for like 1944, 1945. The Panzer yellow that I use is this 1943 Dunkelgelb by Model Master, and I don't use the Model Master acrylics, by the way. I use the good old-fashioned Model Master, and I cut them with lacquer thinner. So anyway, this is what I used for the yellow, and then for the green, I used the 1943 olive green. That's just the decision I made on the colors for my tanks. So there you go. These are what you're about to see on this project. But before we go any further with that tank, we're going to talk about one that actually did exist, well, kind of, sort of, and that's this Panzer 5/4, which is a Panther with the Panzer IV turret on it. Because you see, I've got that nice Panzer IV turret that I had on that kit, and I have got plenty of Panther hulls, and so, let's put this together. There was actually one of these that they tried out, and it wound up going to the Eastern Front and served there on the Russian front as a command tank. Very quick, lightly armored turret, of course. They did what they could with this skirt to try and solve that problem, but kind of an interesting beast. So we took that turret, we put it on one of the Panthers, we painted it up with the Dunkelgelb, and this is Tester's Model Master Dunkelgelb, and then the other colors that we talked about, the Panzer Olive Grün, and I think this is just Panzer Brown. Anyway, went ahead and did my usual signature piece, which is to put like a light weapon of some sort, so you can see this rifle sitting on the back of the turret. It's kind of my signature of how I do these things. Anyway, think it looks pretty cool. It's kind of too bad they didn't make more of these, but anyway, I'm a Panther fan, and I do like Mark IVs as well. So I was able to complete this without wasting any parts, and then on to our, there we go, the Mark IV S. So throwing that Schmalterm on, I grabbed some Leichten from my model railroading stuff and kind of put it on there, like trying to hide it with some bushes. My decal did silver a little bit when I put it on, when I was trying to do some of the weathering, but you can see how this all turned out. Now, like I said, I had used that reddish brown base coat, and the Panzer Signal Brown, that's the color I was trying to say. The Signal Brown is what I had used on the 4.5, and I also used it here. And again, this was all done with my airbrush, but I like the way that turret and that gun turned out. I had to extend this gun just a little bit, obviously. But in the world of tanks, they've got these freakishly long barrels. And so that was fairly easy. I just took another 75 barrel, chopped it, spliced in a piece of tubing, and it actually turned out pretty darn good. The Mark IV that I got from Alan was missing these two side panels. I thought that was perfectly fine. Kind of like the way this looks. I think it would have been an interesting concept. I don't know why you would mess around with a Mark IV. And I think the Schmalterm would have just been too cramped. But anyway, I hope you like this build. For me, it was kind of fun to paint. It was kind of fun to do. And in World of Tanks, I come up against these things all the time, and they always knock me out because they're so stinking fast. Very quick, a hard-hitting 75 gun with a fairly quick loading time on it. And these things really are nasty. I hate seeing them on the battlefield. Maybe someday I'll buy one, but I don't know. I'm just too cheap. And besides, if I was going to buy anything, I'd buy that Freedom tank. So anyway, thank you for watching, and hope you enjoyed this. And check out some of the other World of Tanks tanks I've got.